Hi everybody, welcome back to Eating at April's. This is the second part of the pie baking instructions that I'm doing. And if you watched my last video, I told you, I put my pie crust together, and I told you that what I was going to do is, put that in the refrigerator to chill and wait until my husband went to sleep, and then bake the pie once he fell asleep, once I got all that settled. And so that's what I'm going to do right now. I'm doing an apple with blackberry pie, and I'm combining two recipes to make that. The first one comes from the Best of Irish Cooking by Alex Barker, which is a cookbook that I use quite a lot, and it's on page 64 there, apple and blackberry pie. I'm going to use the fact that they have an exactly even mix of apples and blackberries. They call for a pound of each, but I'm not going to weigh it by the pound. I'm going to weigh mine by the cups, and I'm going to use the spices that they call for. And then I'm going to combine that with a peach pie, old-fashioned two-crust way that you can find on allrecipes.com. They call for 5 cups specifically of the fruit. So what I'm going to do is 2.5 cups of apples and 2.5 cups of blackberries. And I didn't measure anything out in advance because I want to walk you through the way that it goes when I do this pie. All right, and I'm going to tilt this again so that you can see my workspace. But before I do that, you will notice this unsightly looking thing over there in the corner. This is my little makeshift compost pile. Some of you know that I'm a pagan, and we just finished the pagan Sabbath of Imbolc. It is the 8th of February, and we have that in the first week of February. Some people celebrate it directly on the full moon. Some people always do it February the 2nd. And the full moon fell very close to February the 2nd this year, but I don't think that it was exactly on the 2nd. So I was told blessed Imbolc many, many times this year. So what I decide to do for Imbolc, that some people do, is they give gifts to the earth. And as the earth is awakening, they give gifts to the earth, and they bless the earth, and they ask the earth to produce, and they ask the earth to bless them in their garden. So my garden patch out through this window here on the patio, I'm going to grow some things out there this year. So I'm going to be blessing my garden with my eggshells. These are all washed, and I've got some coffee filters in here, which are all natural, and some scraps from some vegetables and some coffee grinds. And so this is sitting in the background looking really unsightly and hideous, but it's a really beautiful thing. Okay, let's bake that pie. All right, let me tilt this down again so you can see my workspace. All righty, there we go. Getting started. You see the pie crust here. The first thing I'm going to do is roll that pie crust out and put it in my beautiful 9-inch dish here. I got these at Big Lots, and I really like them. These were $2 a piece, and these are glass. If I sell somebody a pie, I just account for that, and I tell them that they can keep this dish. But if I gift somebody a pie, I'll just have them bring me the dish back so that I can bake them another pie in it. So the way that I do my pie crusts is I get this board here. Tilt that a little bit more. There we go. And you start out with your all-purpose flour. It's okay, I'll clean that bowl up. Start with your all-purpose flour on the board. And then you are going to flour your rolling pin. Spread that around there some. And if your dough is a little bit too firm, you can pop it in the microwave for a few seconds, but you don't want to pop it in for very long. Do 10 seconds at a time until it's firm enough, until it's soft enough. And if it's too firm, just pop it in the freezer for a few minutes and it'll be okay. All right. So you watch see how easily it moves now. See that? Isn't that nice? just turn your rolling plate. There you go. What you're going to do, you're not in any hurry. Not in any hurry at all. Just go take your time on this. Little bits at a time. If you're in this big of a hurry, do not bake a pie. You're just going to mess up. There you go. Just keep rolling that out. Isn't that nice? And you can see it coming apart a little bit, but that's okay. We'll firm it right up. You can just wet your edges down with a little bit of water. Fix that up. No big deal. Some people will use the countertop, spread with newspaper and flour to roll this out the old-fashioned way. I prefer to do this. Okay, all right. I like the way that feels. Here's my pie dish. Put it right in the pie pan. There we go. You're going to leave your overlap on there right now, because you're going to want that when you put your second crust on top so that they can join to each other. There we go. Now I've got to go in the laundry room and get another bowl because I just broke the bowl I was going to use. I dropped it on the floor. That's okay. I got another bowl. There we go. All right. This bad boy right here is not going to break. So it's calling for 5 cups of fruit. So I'm going to do 2.5 cups of blackberries. Yeah. There's a cup. Now, if 1 or 2 stray ones fall in there, that's okay. So that was a little bit scant. There's 2 cups. Here we go. You've got a 1/2 cup. That's 2.5 cups there. Now, some people don't like peeling apples. And I'm telling you, it's just not that bad. Watch me. Got a good cuisine art knife here. My mother-in-law gave us a gift certificate this Christmas, and we got new knives with that. So we're going to do 2.5 cups worth of apples. If there's any left over, just put them back on the fruit plate. Now, I do peel my apples for my apple pie, simply because the peeling is not pleasant, but when I make an apple cake, I do leave the peeling on. It's just nice in the cake, but not nice in the pie. Don't ask me why. Okay, so we're going to core that, get all the seeds and the center out. There we go. We're about 8 minutes into the video, and part of that was just me running my yap. But in about 8 minutes, we've already lined this baking dish, and we've got half the fruit in the pie already divvied out. So, now, some people will go by pounds for their apple pies, and that's all right. I don't. I go by the cups because I know how many cups fit into my baking dish. Now, if you want to, because blackberries are larger than the apple slices, you can chop your blackberries up too also, but I don't want to. Okay. All right. Now we're ready to peel another apple. Let's see how much that comes up to. I don't even think that's a cup. And we're close. See? Getting close. about 3/4 cup right there. Now these are Honey Crisps that I'm peeling, and I like those a lot. My mother used to peel apples and then fry them. She would fry up the apples. Sometimes she'd fry up a little bit of the peel too. Most of the peel usually wound up in the garbage disposal. As a matter of fact, I can put some of this peel in my compost pile, can't I? Yes, I can. Just go ahead and put that over there right now. Do you mind? Miss Nessa is being a nuisance today. Get down off of there. You get down. Goodness gracious. She used to be a really sweet, mild-mannered cat, but then I'll tell you what happened. Life changed on her, and she was not happy about it. Now they saw how hath no fury like a woman scorned. I'll tell you what happened to this cat. She bonded with our other cat that we had, Azrael. Had him and her together for 10 years, and then one day he wandered off and he never came home. He's been gone for 2 years, and then she became diabetic, lost a bunch of weight. Now she has to have insulin shots twice a day, and she's not happy about that. So her behavior changed as a result of all those upsetting things that happened to her. So I understand, because I would probably act the same damn way. Be perpetually pissed off at the world. Okay, we're at our first cup. Take a couple more apples off of here. First cup. So that's taking 2 apples because these are small. I know that people like to dicker over which kind of apple is best for baking, but I've never been particular. I have never baked with Red Delicious. The best kind of apples I've found that I enjoy for baking and everything else is wine sap apples, but those are not easy to find all the time. I used to live in a house and we had wine saps in our yard, and I don't live there anymore, so I've not had those in over 10 years. One day, maybe when we have a house, I'll plant a tree. So this is our 3rd apple now. Back in old days, women would have apple peelers, which I might invest in, because not only are they convenient, but they look nice on the countertop when you've got one screwed into the countertop, old-fashioned style. See, I'm slicing these apples small. You can slice them bigger if you want to. This is the size I always do for my apple pies and my apple cakes and my apple crumbles and crisps. Let's see what we got here. Oh my goodness, that's not even 2 cups. All right, looks like we're going to be using these other 2 apples. I hope y'all are good at peeling. It's one of the first things I learned to do when I was a kid. If I wanted apples peeled, I learned how to handle a knife fairly young. It's a good skill to have. When we ate apples, we ate the peel. When we cooked with them, we didn't always use the peel. One of the recipes that I've heard of for fried apples calls for frying them in bacon fat. Okay, and that's the buzzer letting me know that the oven is heated to 450 degrees, which is the initial temperature. Putting this pie in. You're going to bake it at 450 degrees for 10 minutes. And then we're going to lower the heat and we're going to bake it till it's done. My pies are usually in the oven between 45 minutes to an hour total, because that way my crust bakes all the way through. If I'm making a fruit pie, I do not pre-bake the crust, so it takes a little longer. Right. Get to the end of slicing fruits. We're almost through with our 2nd cup. cup to go after that. Let's see, I'm sure this will, yeah, this is the second cup. All right. And you know, this isn't difficult work. It's just a little time consuming. We're a little over 15 minutes in now. And most of the time that I've been working on this, I've been spending on chopping up these apples. This is the most time-consuming part of assembling the pie. And then, of course, you know, waiting impatiently for it to bake because it smells so good. And then you wait for it to cool and you just want to eat that whole pie before it's even done. It just smells so good. All right. And there's no one right way to slice, but this is how I slice them. Everybody does it their own way. Some people use devices to just pull the whole core out. All right. You see these little knives slice very well. I was attracted to them because they're pretty. I like anything unusual. And they're very good knives after all. All right, so all we need of this is a half a cup. About, you know, extra quarter cup, fine by me. All right. Okay. We're just going to mix all that fruit up where it's equally incorporated. Equal amounts blackberries, equal amounts apples. Smells wonderful. Now, the recipe calls for a little bit of cloves, which I'm not going to measure. I'm just going to pour some cloves in. There we go. And then a teaspoon of ground cinnamon. I will go ahead and measure that because if I don't, I will overdo cinnamon because I just like it so much. You don't want to overpower. There we go. Oh, this smells spectacular. Now, the allrecipes.com calls for putting in a cup of sugar with a half a cup of all-purpose flour, because that is your thickener. We'll get half a cup of flour right here. Yeah, flour. Add the sugar. You can use brown sugar, but I don't want to. I don't want that molasses flavor in there. The Irish cookbook calls for brown sugar. I don't feel like brown sugar. I want white sugar. There we go. Yeah. Stir this all up real, real good. Now, if you want to put a little bit of broth in there, you can squeeze some lemon juice in there. Of course, if you've used frozen berries, there's going to be broth in there already. Or you can put a little bit of wine in. The allrecipes.com recipe calls for 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. I am going to go that direction because I think that that sounds nice and tangy. So I'm just going to grab my juicer here, squeeze a little bit of lemon juice in there. It's good, juicy. Got this other lemon slice here. Yeah. And of course, the berries and the apples are going to make more broth as they bake. Ooh, this house smells like Christmas. Okay, so combine all that together. And the favorite thing to do is use my hands. Combine all that there real well. There you go. it's all combined real well, you're just going to dump it right in the pie pan real well. See there? 5 cups. Makes a nice little mound. Now, one thing that I'm going to point out before I go any farther is when you are doing a pie, you need to put a piece of tin foil on the baking tray that it goes on. So I'm putting this directly on the oven rack. So there's tin foil on the oven rack, and then this is going to go on top of that. Now that we have the filling inside the pie, we are going to roll out the other pie crust. And I need to rinse my hands off before I do that. Just a second. All right. I'm pulling my crust out. This is a little firm for my taste, so I'm just going to pop this in the microwave for a few seconds. 10-second increments at a time till it's done. While that's heating, go ahead and put some more flour on here. Flour my baking pan. Check and see if it's soft enough. Yep. Lovely. Perfect. See there. Now there's a few different ways you can go with pie crust. You can put the pie crust on top solid, or you can crisscross it. I do not feel like crisscrossing it tonight. Instead, I'm going to cut a star-shaped hole in it because I think that that sounds very pretty. And that is what I prefer right now. See, again, we're just taking our own sweet time with this. And then no hurry. Can't rush perfection. We are 22 minutes in. It's not too bad. Turn this around. So it took me about 20 minutes earlier to prep the pie crust. It's going to take me about a half hour to get the pie ready. And then it'll take a little under an hour to bake. So about 2 hours of my time goes into this. I charge $20 each for my pies, which is not unreasonable. Considering if I was working a regular job, I'd get at least $10 an hour. Plus, it includes all these nice fresh ingredients, the butter crust, the love, the sass, all that sass. Now you like your pie crust, your top, nice and thin. I didn't put enough flour on the bottom. It's slightly sticky, but it's peeling off. Okay. So what I'm going to do to make my pie crust pretty, here, right smack dab in the center. Just a teeny little bit more. No, I won't. All right, that's it. Okay. So there's a star in the middle. Almost in the middle. Now it's in the middle. Okay. Now, some people will put an egg wash on top of the pie crust, which I'm going to go ahead and whip up and do because I want to show you how nice and glossy that'll make everything. First off, I'm going to press those crusts together. See that? Okay. And then you would not believe how easy it is to trim the excess off. Watch what I'm doing. I'm just going to go right along the line, the pie pan itself. Just cut just like that. Okay. And then there'll be some excess crust left over, which I will form into a ball, pop in the refrigerator. I can reuse it. I can freeze it. But it is very simple to do this. There you go. See, look at all that left over. I can make a whole top crust or a bottom crust out of that. There's a star here. I'll overlap the stars because I think that'll be cute. Oh. No, I don't think so. Just save that for something else. Now I'm going to do my egg wash. So get out one egg. Put it in a bowl. Save that eggshell. And get you a fork. Beat that up. Now, some people will use a special kitchen brush that egg wash on. Like I said, I like to keep my kitchen to the bare minimum, so I don't. So, that's what hands are for. You don't want to put that on too thick. You just want to put a clear gloss of it on there. There we go. There we go. And then if you want to, you can put some sugar on top. But I never do that. Okay, now this is ready. This is going to go into the oven, and it's going to bake for 10 minutes at 450 degrees. And then, I'll check myself. After 10 minutes, I'm going to decrease the heat to 350 degrees, and I'm going to go for about another 45 minutes. That's how long I'm comfortable with. So, this is how I do my pies, and they are time consuming and they are delicious, but I'm telling you, if you want good pie and you cannot afford to pay somebody $20 for a pie or $30 or whatever that the really good pies are, you have all the tools at your hands and the ingredients. The sky is the limit to what kind of pies that you can make. And I want you to let me know how you do with your pies. So this has been Eating at April's, and this is how I bake my pies. I'll see you next time.